The stars looked different from Phobos base. Commander Xanter stood at the observation deck, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he gazed at the blue planet hanging in the darkness. Earth, home to billions of humans who had no idea they were being watched. For 300 years, the Selphori Confederacy had maintained their hidden outpost on Mars' moon. Their mission was simple: observe, document, but never interfere. The prime directive was absolute. Pre-FTL civilizations must develop naturally or not at all. "Commander, you should see this," called Sub-Officer Krell, her voice crackling through the comms. Xanter sighed and turned away from the view. His scaled skin reflected the dim purple lighting as he made his way to the monitoring station. "Another breakthrough?" he asked. Krell nodded, her crest rising with excitement. "The humans have advanced their quantum computing again, 10 years ahead of our projections." Xanter wasn't surprised. Humans always did this, pushing forward faster than any other species the Confederacy had studied. It was why the observation post existed in the first place. "Mark it in the report. The Council will want details." On Earth, Dr. Samantha Kelly yawned as she stared at her computer screen. The NASA research lab was quiet at 3 a.m., just how she liked it. For months, she had been tracking unusual patterns in deep space signals, not regular enough to be pulsar emissions, not random enough to be background radiation. "Come on, give me something," she muttered, running another analysis. The computer beeped. Samantha sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. There it was again, a pattern repeating exactly every 42.7 hours. No natural phenomenon did that. She reached for her phone to call her supervisor, then stopped. The last 3 times she'd reported anomalies, they'd dismissed her findings. Not this time. She needed more proof. Across the country, Navy Lieutenant Eric Martinez woke up gasping. The same dream again. Stars rearranging themselves into impossible shapes. Voices speaking words he couldn't understand but somehow knew were important. He reached for the notebook beside his bed and quickly sketched what he remembered. A formation of stars with lines connecting them like a circuit board. Beneath it, he wrote the sounds he recalled. Xelphori. Eric had never told anyone about the dreams. Who would believe a Navy communications specialist was receiving messages from space? But they felt too real to ignore. They had started 6 months ago, right after his ship had tested new long-range communication equipment. The next morning, Samantha arrived at work early. She hadn't slept, too busy comparing her findings with other data. As she entered the lab, she noticed a man in a suit waiting by her desk. "Dr. Kelly, I'm Agent Steve Lloyd, Department of Defense. We need to talk about your deep space monitoring project." Samantha's heart raced. "How do you know about that?" "I haven't filed any reports." Lloyd smiled thinly. "Let's just say certain signals have been noticed by more than just you." On Phobos, alarms suddenly blared through the base. Xantor rushed to the command center. "What's happening?" he demanded. The technician looked up, eyes wide with fear. "Commander, we're detecting unauthorized transmissions. Someone is sending signals directly to Earth." "Impossible. Who would break protocol?" "Unknown, sir, but the signal is coming from within our own network." Xanter's blood ran cold. In 3 centuries, no one had ever violated the Prime Directive. The consequences could be catastrophic. Lock down all communications. Find the source. But it was already too late. On Earth, something had changed. Humans who had gone to sleep as normal woke up different. Among billions of unaware people, a few thousand minds began to stir with knowledge they shouldn't possess. The awakening had begun. The mountain laboratory in Colorado stood isolated against a backdrop of pine trees and snow. Inside, Dr. Frank Patterson checked the quantum stabilizer one last time. After 15 years of work, today they would attempt to create a stable wormhole. Tiny, just subatomic in size, but a breakthrough that would change physics forever. "All systems ready, Frank," called Dr. Lisa Wright from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, making final adjustments. Frank nodded. Let's make history. Neither scientist noticed the small device attached beneath the main power supply. It had been placed there 3 days ago by a maintenance worker whose eyes had briefly glowed purple before returning to normal. Aboard the void-borne ship hidden in Earth's upper atmosphere, Captain Merrick watched the laboratory feed with cold determination. Unlike the observers on Phobos, the void-borne didn't believe in the Prime Directive. They had seen too many species reach the stars only to become threats. The humans are advancing too quickly, Merrick told his crew. Their aggression combined with their innovation makes them dangerous. Today, we delay their progress by decades. He pressed a button. Activate the disruptor. In the lab, Lisa looked up with a frown. Frank, I'm getting some strange readings from the power supply. Before Frank could respond, a high-pitched whine filled the room. The lights flickered. Warning alarms blared. System overload, Frank shouted, rushing to the emergency controls. Everyone evacuate now. Lisa didn't move. Something about the energy pattern on her screen didn't make sense. It wasn't a natural failure. The pattern was too deliberate. The explosion ripped through the laboratory seconds later. The quantum containment field collapsed, releasing a burst of exotic particles never before seen on Earth. The blast knocked Frank unconscious, but somehow left the core research area intact. When rescue workers arrived, they found Frank and Lisa alive, but surrounded by a ring of strange, glittering dust that seemed to move on its own. Miles away, in a small diner in Denver, waitress Carol Simmons dropped an entire tray of plates. Her customers stared as she stood frozen, eyes wide. "Are you okay?" someone asked. Carol didn't answer. In her mind, she suddenly understood the unified field theory, complex physics she had never studied. Equations and concepts flowed through her thoughts like water. "They did it on purpose," she whispered. "They're afraid of us." On Phobospace, Commander Xantor received the alert about the laboratory explosion. The energy signature matched sulfur technology. Someone had interfered directly with human development, breaking the only rule that truly mattered. "Show me who authorized this," he demanded. The intelligence officer looked uncomfortable. "Sir, it appears to be the Voidborn faction. They'd been operating independently for some time." Xantor slammed his fist on the console. "This is madness. Don't they understand what they've done? The Council established the Prime Directive for a reason." "There's more, sir," the officer continued. "The quantum field collapse released detection-level energy. Our sensors picked up changes in human neural patterns within a 500-mile radius of the incident." Xantor felt a chill run through his body. The ancient texts spoke of this, the suppressed potential that all humans carried in their genetic code, potential that specific energy frequencies could unlock. How many humans were affected? We can't be certain. Possibly hundreds, maybe thousands. In his hospital bed, Frank Patterson woke with a gasp. The explosion, the lab, his work, all gone. But something else had replaced it. Knowledge, understanding, awareness that didn't belong to him. He looked at his hands, seeing not just flesh, but the energy flowing through them. He could feel connections to others. Lisa in the next room. And beyond that, strangers who suddenly felt familiar. "They tried to stop us," he whispered, "but they only made us stronger." The awakening was spreading. John Baker scratched his head as he stared at the blueprint spread across his kitchen table. Yesterday, he had been a normal construction worker. Today, he understood advanced structural engineering like he had studied it for years. The night before, he'd woken from a strange dream about buildings that could heal themselves. Now he was drawing plans for a material that could do exactly that. His pencil moved across the paper with certainty, sketching molecular structures he shouldn't know about. "Dad, what are you doing?" His 10-year-old son stood in the doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. John looked up. "Just an idea, buddy. Go back to sleep." Across town, kindergarten teacher Mary Williams sat upright in bed. Strange symbols filled her mind. She grabbed a notebook and began to write, her hand moving without conscious thought. Line after line of an unknown language flowed onto the page. When she finally stopped, Mary stared at what she had written. She couldn't read it, but somehow she knew it was a language, one not from Earth. Even stranger, she felt she could speak it if she tried. At State University, Senior Alan Garcia walked alone through the campus at night. Since the headaches started 3 days ago, sleep had been impossible. The world looked different now. He could see flowing patterns of energy around electrical lines, around plants, even around people. Alan stopped by a large oak tree. He reached out his hand, almost touching the faint blue glow that surrounded it. The energy responded, bending slightly toward his fingers. "You can see it too?" a voice asked. Alan turned. A girl he recognized from his physics class stood nearby. Elle Norton. She was looking at his hand and the light around the tree. "Since when?" he asked. 3 days ago, Elle replied. "I thought I was going crazy." "You're not alone," Alan said. "Something's happening to us." In his underground command center, Voidborn Captain Merrick received troubling reports. The sabotage of the laboratory had not gone as planned. Instead of simply destroying human research, the quantum explosion had triggered something unexpected. "The suppression field is failing," his science officer explained. "The humans are waking up." Merrick slammed his fist down. Impossible. Their potential was genetically locked thousands of years ago. The quantum particles from our device interacted with their experiment. It created a cascading effect we didn't anticipate. How many are affected? The numbers grow daily. At first, just those near the blast. Now, it seems to be spreading like a network. On Phobos, Commander Xantor reviewed ancient records never meant to be opened. The truth was worse than he feared. The old texts spoke of humanity's original state, a species with natural abilities that had frightened even the advanced Selfori ancestors. "They were right to fear them," his assistant said, reading over his shoulder. Xantor shook his head. "No, they were wrong to interfere. Our ancestors violated the natural order when they suppressed human potential and trapped them on their homeworld. What happens if they'd fully awaken? I don't know. No one does. That's why the Prime Directive existed, to prevent exactly this." FBI agent Donna Clark walked through the remains of the Colorado laboratory. As head of the Unexplained Phenomena Division, she had been called in when standard investigators found nothing that explained the explosion. As she moved through the debris, Donna felt a strange pull toward certain objects, a broken piece of equipment, a shattered monitor. Without understanding why, she collected these pieces. In her hotel room that night, she arranged the fragments on the floor. They seemed to fit together in a pattern that made no logical sense, yet felt right. When the last piece was in place, the fragments began to glow softly. Donna gasped as knowledge poured into her mind. She saw the truth, the sabotage, the aliens, the awakening humans. And most importantly, she suddenly knew how to find the others like her. The awakening was no longer just beginning. It was accelerating. Commander Xantor stood before the communication panel, his report ready to send to the Selfori Council. After 3 days of investigation, he had confirmed the worst. The Voidborn faction had directly interfered with human development, and now faced the consequences of their actions. "Send the transmission," he ordered. The communications officer tried several times. "Sir, I can't establish a connection. Something is blocking our signal." Xantor's scales darkened with concern. "Run a diagnostic. This is priority 1. "Sir," called another officer, "we've detected unauthorized access to our security systems. Someone has been inside our network for weeks." Xantor realized the truth immediately. The Voidborn. They've infiltrated deeper than we thought. He turned to his most trusted lieutenant. "Secure the base. No one enters or leaves until we find the infiltrators." On Earth, FBI agent Donna Clark drove through the night toward Denver. The glowing fragments had shown her exactly where to go. In her mind, she could feel others like herself, Awakened humans with abilities they didn't understand. Her phone rang. It was her supervisor at the bureau. "Clark, where are you? You were supposed to file your report on the laboratory incident yesterday." Donna hesitated. "I'm following the lead, sir. I need more time." "What lead? You haven't logged anything in the system." "I can't explain right now. Trust me, this is bigger than we thought." There was a pause. "You have 48 hours, then I want you back in Washington. People are asking questions about that explosion." Donna knew she couldn't tell him the truth. How could she explain that she suddenly knew things she shouldn't know? That she could sense other awakened people across the country? That she understood the laboratory hadn't simply exploded, it had been sabotaged by aliens? In a small apartment in Chicago, Dr. Samantha Kelly scrolled through pages of data on her laptop. After her meeting with Agent Lloyd from the Department of Defense, she had been temporarily reassigned from NASA. Now she worked from home, analyzing the strange signals she had discovered. A knock at her door made her jump. She closed her laptop and approached cautiously. "Who is it?" she called. "Lieutenant Eric Martinez, U.S. Navy." "Dr. Kelly, we need to talk about the stars." Samantha's heart raced. The stars, just like in her recent dreams. She opened the door to find a man in civilian clothes, looking tired but alert. "How did you find me?" she asked. "The same way you've been drawing this symbol." Eric held up his notebook, showing a pattern identical to one Samantha had absent-mindedly sketched dozens of times over the past week. "Come in," she said. Inside the Voidborn's hidden base beneath the Pacific Ocean, Captain Merrick faced a difficult decision. Their attempt to delay human progress had backfired spectacularly. Now awakened humans were connecting with each other, forming a network that grew stronger each day. "We have two options," his second-in-command explained. "We can report our failure to High Command and request assistance, or, Merrick prompted, "or we implement the contingency plan, a direct intervention. Remove the awakened humans before they fully realize their potential." Merrick considered this. Direct elimination of humans violated every protocol, but letting them awaken fully might threaten not just the mission, but the entire Excelfori Confederacy. "Prepare the strike teams," he ordered. "Priority targets are the humans showing the strongest signs of awakening." Across the country, John Baker's new building material had drawn attention. His construction company didn't understand how their ordinary worker had created something revolutionary, but they were eager to develop it. As John left work, he noticed a black car following him. Inside were men who looked human but moved too perfectly, their eyes occasionally reflecting light like a cat's. John took a different route home, then another, trying to lose them. When he turned down an empty street, the car accelerated. Suddenly, another vehicle swerved in between them, a government SUV. The driver's window rolled down, revealing Agent Donna Clark. "Get in," she shouted. "They're not here to offer you a job." John didn't hesitate. As he jumped into her vehicle, Donna sped away. "How did you know?" he asked. "The same way you suddenly know how to create impossible materials," she replied. "We're connected, and we're being hunted." The abandoned warehouse outside Seattle became their first meeting place. Dr. Samantha Kelly stood at a makeshift whiteboard, writing down what they knew so far. Around her sat 23 awakened humans from different parts of the country, all drawn together by the same inexplicable connection. "We all started experiencing changes after the Colorado laboratory incident," she explained. "New abilities, knowledge we shouldn't have, awareness of each other." Lieutenant Eric Martinez stood up. "It's no coincidence. The explosion was caused by non-human technology." He pointed to the strange symbols Samantha had drawn. "These are from my dreams. They're a language, not from Earth." "Selfori," said Mary Williams quietly. The kindergarten teacher had been writing in the alien language for days. "That's what they call themselves." Agent Donna Clark, who had brought in 5 others including John Baker, nodded. "I think we've been watched for a long time. and something recently went wrong with their plan. Frank Patterson, still recovering from the laboratory explosion, spoke up. They tried to stop our research, but instead, they triggered whatever is happening to us. He looked around the room. We need a name for ourselves. A purpose. Prometheus Protocol, suggested Lisa Wright, who had survived the blast with Frank. In mythology, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to humans. And now we have knowledge that was kept from us. Samantha agreed. Prometheus Protocol it is. In the Arctic Circle, a small team of the Awakened explored an unusual heat signature that Alan Garcia had detected using satellite data he shouldn't have been able to access. Ella Norton, the physics student who could see energy like Alan, led the way across the frozen landscape. It's just ahead, she called back. The energy pattern is getting stronger. They found nothing at first, just ice and snow. But when John Baker placed his hand on a particular spot, a section of ice suddenly became transparent, revealing a metal door beneath. How did you do that? Elle asked. John shook his head. I didn't. It responded to something in us. Inside, they discovered what appeared to be an abandoned station. Dust covered strange equipment and control panels unlike anything human-made. Symbols matching those from their dreams covered the walls. It's a monitoring station, Eric realized, somehow knowing how to activate the main console. They've been watching us from here for centuries. Screens came to life, showing historical footage of human development. Ancient civilizations, wars, technological breakthroughs, all observed and recorded by alien watchers. My God, whispered Donna. Our entire history. One screen showed genetic sequences, human DNA alongside another pattern labeled in alien script. That's us, said Lisa, who suddenly understood the complex genetic data. But look at these altered sections. Someone changed human DNA long ago. They suppressed something in us, Frank said. Abilities we should have had naturally. Back at the warehouse, the remaining members of Prometheus Protocol worked to understand their new abilities. Carol Simmons, the waitress who now understood advanced physics, tested the limits of her knowledge by building a device from scrap electronics. If I'm right, this should detect the energy signature of those watching us, she explained. When she activated it, the device immediately registered dozens of signals, some from orbit, others from deep under the oceans, a few from remote locations on land. They're everywhere, Samantha said, looking at the results. And according to these readings, they've been here for thousands of years. Mary studied the patterns, then pointed to one signal stronger than the others. This one is important. It's coming from the moon nearest to Mars. Phobos, Eric confirmed, remembering details from his dreams. That's their main base in our solar system. The pieces were coming together. They were being watched. Their potential had been suppressed. And now something had awakened that potential. We need to get to the Phobos base, Samantha decided. That's where we'll find answers. The others stared at her. How exactly do we get to Mars? John asked. Frank smiled for the first time since the explosion. With the knowledge we now have, we build a ship. Commander Xantor knew he had only one choice left. For 3 weeks, he had tried to alert the Sulfuri Council about the Voidborn's actions, but all communications remained blocked. His own crew now watched him with suspicious eyes. The infiltration ran deeper than he had imagined. Prepare my personal shuttle, he ordered his last loyal officer. Tell no one. That night, as the base's systems underwent routine maintenance, Xantor slipped away. His shuttle detached silently from Phobos and set course not for Sulfuri space, but for Earth. If he couldn't reach the Council, he would warn the humans directly. His ship carried vital information, technical specifications, star maps, and most importantly, the truth about humanity's past. In an underground facility beneath the Utah desert, Prometheus Protocol had grown to over 100 awakened humans. Each brought unique skills and knowledge. Together, they worked with a single purpose: to defend Earth from the void-born threat. Frank Patterson and Lisa Wright led the technology team. Using their new understanding of physics, they had already built working prototypes of machines decades beyond current human capabilities. "The drive system is ready," Frank announced to the group assembled in the main chamber. "It's not true FTL yet, but it's close enough to reach Mars in hours instead of months." Samantha Kelly stepped forward. "The ship's hull is complete. John's new materials make it stronger than anything we could have built before." Agent Donna Clark, who now led security, looked skeptical. "Even with all this, we're talking about attacking an alien base. We don't know their weapons, their numbers. They're coming for us anyway." Eric Martinez interrupted. "The Voidborn strike teams have captured 3 of us already. We need to take the fight to them before they come in force." The room fell silent as a perimeter alarm suddenly blared. On the main screen, sensors showed an unidentified craft had landed just 2 miles from their hidden entrance. "They found us," Donna said, drawing her weapon. But Mary Williams, who now understood the alien language fluently, studied the readings. "Wait, that's not a Voidborn ship. The energy signature is different." Eric nodded. "She's right. That's a command shuttle from Phobos Base." Outside, Commander Xantor stepped carefully through the desert night. His environmental suit protected him from Earth's atmosphere, but made movement awkward. He knew the humans would detect his presence soon. He only hoped they would listen before shooting. A group of armed humans surrounded him within minutes, their weapons trained on his alien form. Xantor slowly raised his 4 arms in a universal gesture of surrender. "I come with warning," he said through his translator, "and information you need." They brought him inside, keeping him isolated in a containment room. Through a speaker system, Samantha Kelly questioned him. "You're from the Phobos base," she said. "The observation post." "Yes," Xantor confirmed. "I am Commander Xantor, Chief Observer. The Voidborn faction has violated our most sacred law by interfering with your development. Now they plan worse." "Why should we trust you?" Donna demanded. "Because I bring proof of their plans and knowledge of how to stop them." He placed a data device on the table, "including how to complete your FTL drive." Frank examined the device from behind a protective screen. "This is legitimate. The physics models match what we've been developing, but more advanced." Over the next hours, Xantor revealed everything. How the Selphori had observed humanity for millennia, how the Voidborn faction feared human potential, and how they planned to prevent humanity from ever reaching the stars. "The Voidborn have established a forward base in your Kuiper Belt," he explained. "They are bringing warships. Once assembled, they will attack Earth directly." "How much time do we have?" Eric asked. 2 weeks, perhaps less." The Prometheus protocol leaders exchanged looks. Their partially completed ship, the Defiance, wasn't ready for battle. "With the information I've brought, you can complete your vessel," Xantor said. "I will help you. It is the only way to save both our peoples now." That night, work on the Defiance accelerated. What had been planned as a small scout ship was quickly redesigned into something more powerful. With Xantor's knowledge and human ingenuity, they created weapons capable of fighting Voidborn technology. 7 days later, the ship was ready. As dawn broke over the Utah desert, the Defiance rose silently from its hidden hangar, carrying 20 volunteers and 1 alien defector on humanity's first mission beyond the moon. Their destination: the Kuiper Belt and the hidden Voidborn base. The Defiance moved silently through the darkness beyond Neptune. Inside, the crew worked with focused determination. Lieutenant Eric Martinez guided the ship while Dr. Samantha Kelly monitored the sensors for signs of the Voidborn base. "Energy readings ahead," Samantha announced. "Matches the signature Commander Xantor provided." On the main screen, a small moon-like object appeared. Artificial structures covered its surface, with ships of various sizes docked around it. "That's their forward base," Xantor confirmed. "Those are warships being prepared for the attack on Earth." Frank Patterson studied the display from his engineering station. There are too many for us to fight directly. We don't need to fight them all, Donna Clark said. We just need to destroy their command center and communication array. As they approached, John Baker worked with Mary Williams to adjust the ship's energy signature. Using their combined knowledge, they made the Defiance appear as a void-borne supply vessel. They're hailing us, Eric said. Mary activated the communication system, responding in perfect Sci-Fi language. For tense minutes, they waited to see if their deception would work. We're clear, Mary finally said. They've assigned us a docking port. The Defiance moved toward the base, following the designated path. Once docked, a small team prepared to board the station. Donna, Eric, Alan Garcia, L. Norton, and Commander Xantor. Remember the plan, Frank said through their communication devices. Plant the devices at the 4 key points, then get back here. We'll have 10 minutes after activation. The team moved through the void-borne station, using Xantor's knowledge to avoid security. What they discovered shocked them all. The base was much larger than expected, with entire sections dedicated to studying human biology and psychology. They've been preparing for this for centuries, Xantor whispered, examining a display showing Earth's history. In a large chamber, they found something unexpected, another alien species, held in containment fields. These beings looked different from the Sci-Fi, with luminous skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Alari prisoners, Xantor explained, ancient allies of humanity. One of the Alari noticed them and spoke in a melodic language. To everyone's surprise, Alan understood perfectly. They say they've been waiting for us, he translated. They say we've finally woken up. Donna made a quick decision. Release them. We could use allies. As Eric worked to free the prisoners, alarm sirens suddenly blared throughout the station. On a nearby screen, they saw Captain Merrick striding toward their location, surrounded by armed guards. They'd found us, Elle said. We need to move now. The newly freed Alari, 12 in total, joined them as they raced toward the command center. When they reached it, Merrick was waiting. I knew some of you would come, the Voidborn captain said, but I didn't expect you to bring a traitor. He glared at Xantor. The only traitors are those who violated the Prime Directive, Xantor replied. Merrick laughed. The directive, a foolish rule created by those who feared what humans truly are. He stepped forward. Do you want to know the truth, humans? Your kind once ruled the stars. Your species was the first to develop interstellar travel. You spread across the galaxy before any of our civilizations had even looked to the sky. The humans exchanged shocked glances. Then why are we trapped on Earth? Donna demanded. Because you brought war to the stars, Merrick said. Your ancient empire nearly destroyed all other life. After your defeat, your genetic potential was locked away. Your memories erased. Your people confined to one world under observation. One of the Alari stepped forward. He tells half-truths. Humans were indeed powerful, but they were also protectors. The Sci-Fi were the aggressors. We Alari are descendants of those who stood with humanity. Before Merrick could respond, Alan suddenly moved with impossible speed, disabling the guards with abilities none of them knew he possessed. In the chaos, Donna planted the final device. The truth, Xantor said as they retreated toward the Defiance, is that both humans and Sci-Fi have forgotten their shared history. But now the old balance is broken, and a new era begins. As the Defiance pulled away from the exploding base, Earth received their transmission. Humanity's potential was unlocked, ancient allies were found, and the stars were finally within reach. The awakening was complete.